I've done a few videos on how app packaging and app deployment work in Intune, and the theory and demonstrations are fun, but it doesn't always touch on the real life and technical challenges businesses see when they're working with a large number of apps. Let's take an example. Let's say you just need to manage a few apps. Let's say Notepad++ and 7-Zip are in your list. Now, we know these apps probably work and probably will always work with Windows, regardless of the version. But let's say we need to test them for whatever reason. We need proof that they work. We should test all apps, right? But make sure we do that before we push them to our estate. But these apps are probably fine, but we need to test them anyway. And testing is a pain. It's time consuming, it's not much fun, and this is where I think automation can help. And when we look at automation, I'm sure we can do clever stuff with PowerShell to automate app installs and test them on a vanilla VM. But that's just us, the techies. What about the rest of the team? Do we need all the packaging team to know how to run our scripts? Doesn't sound ideal to me. I don't want to teach people how to do scripting just so they can do their app packaging work. That's where I've been looking at Remo 3. Now, I'm sure if you ask Remo 3, they'll tell you all about how it can help you with migrations from Config Manager, AVD app management, app modernization to MSIX. But for me, this simple and common task of automating app discovery and testing and deployment, that can be a real time saver. So that's what I'm going to look at today. And so I asked Remo 3 if I could give it a go and mess around with Remo 3 Cloud Intune Integration. And I want to see if it stands up to my expectations. So once you've got yourself a Remo 3 environment, it's pretty simple to get started. They give you like this Remo 3 Cloud tenant, and you just add all your environments to it. In my case, I need to add my last coffee Intune tenant. So let's jump in and do that. You can see I'm at the dashboard now. I'm just going to go straight down to Advanced. And from here, I'm going to choose Integrations. And you can see we've got the ability to add Config Manager, Intune, local uploads, Nerdio integration as well, and just the API if you want to automate things even further. For now, I'm going to click Configure, and we have the same options, Config Manager, Intune, but I want to add Intune, so we'll choose Add Instance. And you can see we need the friendly name, the Azure AD tenant ID, the Azure AD client ID. This secret seems to be some random password that it's saved in the browser somewhere, so don't worry about that. And yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and grab this. So we're going to call it, there you go, Last Coffee Intune, that'll do for me. And the tenant ID, let's assume that's correct. Let's go and find it though. Ending in 53681, which you get from the overview pane in Entra Admin Center. 53681, perfect. And then client ID. So I'm going to need to go to Applications, App Registrations, all applications. I don't have it, so I'm going to choose New Registration, and we're going to call it Remo 3 Cloud. Scroll down, choose Register. So we'll grab the app ID, which is this one here, and put that there. And then we'll go down to Certificates and Secrets, add a new secret. I'm going to call this Remo 3 Cloud Secret. Give it 6 months, choose Add. And so you'll see we have the value and a secret ID. The value is the thing we need to copy, so we'll choose Copy. Put that into there, and there we go. We'll choose Save, and that's all done. The integration is now finished. So now we need to give the Remo 3 Cloud tenant permissions in my Intune environment. Let's go ahead and do that. So we'll head back to Entra, down to API permissions. We'll choose Add a Permission, Microsoft Graph, Application Permissions, and we're just going to type Device Management Apps. There we go. And we need Read and Write All. Choose Add. And then we're going to grant admin consent for this tenant. Choose Yes. And that's done. Super quick, super simple, and it's using an application registration to access the environment rather than using, shared passwords and all that kind of stuff. So that's good. That's a secure way to do it. Right. So now that we have Intune configured, the ability to export to Intune configured, we'll take a look at the overview page, and this is my dashboard. So you can see I've been playing around and registering a few applications and getting those through the process so I can understand it a bit better. But I mentioned 7-zip, so let's take a look at how we would onboard 7-zip into Remo 3 and get it to test 7-zip for us before we push it to our Intune environment. Let's give it a go. I'm going to choose onboard, and then I'm going to choose manually create. And now we have these 4 steps that it can do. So let's say, for example, if you had no idea how to install this application or uninstall this application, you might want to just do some discovery on it. So let's say we only know that we've got the executable, but we don't know what to do with it. We don't know anything about it. So we could just import the packages, and as you can see here, imported packages will be installed and analyzed to determine what is available to be tested. That sounds good to me. We could also then go ahead and baseline it and do some full testing on it. For now, let's just go ahead and do some discovery on it. So the display name, we're going to go with 7-zip FM for file manager. We know the publisher is Igor Pavlov, and the name we'll go with 7-zip FM, and we'll call it 920 for the version. Next, I happen to know that you can install this by doing the installer /s. I've figured that out. I have no idea how to uninstall it though, so we'll take a look at that shortly. But if I grab this installer, this one here, that there, and put this there with a /s. I'm going to go back one actually, because it isn't 920, is it? It is clearly 2301, so choose next. So that's the silent install there. I don't know how to uninstall it, so we'll just choose next. We're going to browse for the files. So we just need to find this application now. I'm going to go into applications. You can see inside this folder called 7-zip is this executable here. And when you zip that up, you get this zip file here. Now I'm going to choose open, and this is going to import this zip file, which just contains 7-zip 7z2301-x64.exe. I'm going to choose open on that and choose submit. Get this creating and uploading into Remo 3. And you can see it started the import process. Now import is in progress. Now what does that mean? Well, it's just simply going through the process of getting that into the right place within Remo 3 so we can start the rest of the work, which in this case is discovery. Let's click on it and see what that means. We have some information about where it's going. It obviously has a temporary environment location here with this nice GUID. It has the publisher, the package name, the install command. It hasn't got the uninstall command, and it's got an install and uninstall timeout of 60 minutes. Now I personally know that if 7-zip doesn't install within a few minutes, then it's never going to install. So I'm going to change that down to 15 minutes so we don't wait 60 minutes just for it to fail if it does fail. I'll save that. We can add some tags if we're working with multiple different customers or multiple different teams, for example. And we have the exit codes that have been picked up by the environment, or the default exit codes that Remo 3 and Intune know about. So for now, nothing's been discovered. It's simply picked up this information from the thing that was uploaded. So we'll give it a few minutes. As you can see, it's past the import stage right now. If we click onto import, you can see what took place there. It did an anti-malware scan of the application that was being uploaded, I'm sure for various reasons, but also to protect you as the customer. Malware in your Intune environment is not a good thing. It's done that anti-malware scan for you. That's all good. And you can see the exact steps that were taken in order to do that. Perfect. We'll go back to overview and just see this discovery that's taking place now. I'll click into that in progress section and you can see what's taking place right now, live as it happens. So right now it's doing something called provisioning the task runner. So all of these tasks that need to be run within Remo 3 need to have some process that's going to be running them, and it's provisioning that process right now so that it can actually do the steps that it wants to do. And then after that, it's going to go ahead and do the installation of this application using the string that I gave it. Once it's finished with that, it will deprovision the task runner and give us the results of those installation commands that took place. What we also can see is a video of this happening. Right now, there's no environment for us to show in the video, but in the next few minutes, it will be creating that environment, putting the files on the local disk of that computer and running the commands against it, and we can see those run in real time. Now, if we want to, we could watch that run in real time and see what happens, but if we miss it, or if we go ahead and do something else and maybe come back later on, it will have saved the video so we can see what happened when we ran that. And that's great for picking up these instances where you run something within a test environment and you get distracted or don't have time to sit and watch every single step of the installation. This has a video of everything that took place, all the visible stuff. With my silent install, I'm expecting there to be nothing on the screen at all, so hopefully it will be a very, very boring video of just a desktop for 15 or so minutes. But in fact, not 15 or so minutes, because I want it to finish successfully within those 15 minutes. So maybe 2 or 3 minutes before it finds that it's installed correctly. So once it's done that, we can review the video if we need to, and also review this console output to see what actually took place. And then it'll move into the next step when we progress it to the next step. So after a few minutes, we have the console output showing that the task runner is now complete and connected. So the VM has been provisioned. The task runner, it tried to connect for every few seconds and eventually did connect, so that's perfect. You can see the next step has just started to run there. Install 7-zip FM is running, and it's doing a pre-install scan, it's finding the package, and then what's it doing? Let's read through this. Well, it ran with exit code 0, which sounds good to me. It's found 4 program files, 4 things in program files, 0 things in x86, and a couple of start menu shortcuts, and that's done. It's then deprovisioned the task runner, and we're ready to look at the output. We'll go back, and you can see that its baseline IST, or an initial smoke test, is taking place based on the fact that it was discovered successfully, and now we're just doing a basic installation test to see what happens, which will include the install and uninstall, which will absolutely fail because I haven't given any uninstall commands at all. Let's go into the in progress and see what's happening. Currently provisioning that task runner again on a new virtual machine. Alright, so I took a few minutes to get a coffee. I'm now back, and you can see that it's finished provisioning the task runner. We'll go down to install 7-zip, and it installs this 7-zip just as it did before, so that's good. Next, it does the smoke test and essentially figures out which thing will start the application based on, I think, the shortcut. By the looks of it, it's figured out which shortcut on the desktop is the thing users will need to click, and then which application is linked to that, and it runs that application to see if it actually starts. Perfect. It did that. The 7-zip application started. So next, uninstall. It didn't uninstall because there were no uninstall commands provided, and then it's deprovisioned the task runner. So now we have that. We know that it installs and works. Perfect. Let's take a look at the video. Well, yeah, that looks like it worked. 7-zip was running, so perfect, we've got that. Okay, next, let's go back to overview. And it's currently onboarded this application, but I'm not quite done because I want to know that I can uninstall this application with Intune as well. But as I've not got access to the application, I don't know what actually gets installed. I need to figure out how to do that. I'm going to go back into the application itself and take a look at what has been discovered in the package. Now, the package has found that the 4 files within the 7-zip folder within program files, they're 7-zip FM, 7z executable, and 7zg, and we also have 7-zip uninstall. Now, if I take this uninstall command here, or this uninstall location right here, just copy that. I'm going to go back to overview, over to 7-zip. Don't know why I did that. I'm going to go to edit right at the top there, and then down, I'm going to put this new command in there. Now, if I run that, it will probably just load the uninstall window and ask me to drive the uninstaller. I'm going to assume, this is just an assumption, I've not tested this, that a /s in the same way it is for the installer will work for the uninstaller. So let's test that out. So back up to the top, I'm going to choose save. And as soon as you've edited that, it will go back into a retest. So we'll go back to overview, and you can see it's automatically started the baseline initial smoke test, and we can go back into that and see that this works or doesn't work. We'll see. So it's currently provisioning the task runner. Give that a few minutes while it finishes installing 7-zip and then running the smoke test, and then we'll see it uninstall 7-zip and see if this actually works. And without access to any Windows environment, you'll see that I've been able to test my theories around the installation and uninstallation of 7-zip. Let's see how it goes. Alright, let's do this one in real time then. So as you can see, it is currently trying to connect to the task runner. It's connected. Alright, we're good. Next, it's going to go ahead and install 7-zip file manager again. So there we go. It started the agent task, and it's running the install command with a /s. Install succeeded with exit code 0. 0 is the good one. It's waiting 10 seconds for it to complete. Pretty much done though, so that's good. And it's finished. Okay, so next is doing the smoke test, figuring out which application needs to run in order to run the application on the computer. And it's figured out that it's doing 7ZFM, so that's good. And then we're going to go to the uninstall task because it'll finish that in a few seconds. And hopefully we see it doesn't skip the uninstall task this time, because I've provided the string I think will be the thing it needs to do to uninstall it. I haven't tested this, so it might not be, but let's see. Okay, it started the uninstall task, and it can't find the file specified. Yeah, can't find the file specified. I wonder if that is because I've got a space in there, haven't I? Let's try it without the space. Let's go back. And I'm going to go back to 7ZFM. And the uninstall command, I'm going to edit this, because that really is a location that should be there. Go. Choose save. Okay, let's run this smoke test again. Give this a few minutes to process. Okay, it's just finished installing. It's running the smoke test right now. It's detected the application window. Let's take a look at the video of that. Yeah, the application window's there. All good. Back to the console. It's pretty much going to finish up doing that task in just a few seconds and move over to the uninstall, and we'll see if this fix to the uninstall that I've done actually makes it find the uninstaller on the disk and then run the uninstall command. Okay, so it found the uninstaller, and it says the uninstall succeeded, exited with exit code 0, and all done. So now we have tested the install and the uninstall and used the console output to troubleshoot the uninstall guess that I made about how you could uninstall 7-zip with a silent command. I think hopefully this demonstrates just how absolutely useful all of the different features of Remo 3 Cloud can be just for testing an application when you're trying to provision it in your environment. Now obviously we need to get this into Intune, and that's a separate topic, so we'll go into an overview. This application has now been onboarded, so we can go into it and then we can export it, and we can either download it as an Intune Win file, or we can push it straight to Intune. When we choose Intune, we get to choose the Intune instance that we want to push it to, because we can have more than one, right? So we could even have config manager there as well. So let's choose Intune. We'll choose OK, and it says it's exporting it to Intune for us. I'm going to go to sequences. It's currently running the export to Intune sequence right there. Let's head over to Intune, choose apps, all apps. I'm looking for a Win32 app called 7zip FM, which is right there. Let's jump into it and take a look. And it was created today, around about now. Properties on that should have the install and uninstall commands all set up for us, and there we go. Now I think this shows how helpful Remo 3 Cloud can be when it comes to packaging our applications into Intune. Considering I was only working with one app, it already saved me a ton of messing around with virtual machines and that kind of thing. Now bear in mind that while I was waiting for these tests to complete, I could have been working on the other applications on my list. This could really be a true time saver. See you next time.